Welcome to The Music Reel. It's an independent podcast that shares stories from every industry across the planet that music touches. We uncover how music connects all of us, and we shed light on those who need our support now more than ever. Welcome to The Music Reel. I'm your host, Nicola Burton. I am very excited for my guest today. I'm speaking with Emily Ulman, who is the Managing Director and the Programmer for the award-winning online music festival, Isol-Aid. Emily, finally, we get to have a chat. It's lovely to meet you.
We did it. We found a time. We were both available. Thank you so much for having me. It's a thrill.
Well, Emily, I have just been watching what has been happening with you over the past few months. My goodness, what a ride. So now you've started the online festival Isolaid, and you have been nominated for the J Festival for the Done Good category. You are now, today, you're being documented in the Melbourne Museum in the State Heritage. My goodness.
There's a lot happening. Melbourne Awards and Air Awards and Music Awards. And
let's talk about the Air Awards. Now that's an outstanding achievement award. Congratulations. I mean, in a few short months. So there's not much you haven't done in this industry. There's not much that you haven't done, right? Think about it.
Not anymore. It's feeling that way.
Not anymore. So let's start with that moment when that spark of inspiration happened. You thought, I'm going to do this online festival. Tell me how it came about and all the things you had to go through to get Isol-Aid up and running.
Well, so the pandemic had sort of just reached our shores in Australia, and slowly but surely everything was closing. Venues were shutting down, tours were being cancelled. I'm, amongst other things, I'm the programmer for the Brunswick Music Festival in Melbourne. And so we were able to sort of get away with the first week of programming going ahead unscathed, but then we had to cancel the second week. I was also programming another venue in Brunswick, and all of the shows there had to be cancelled. And so, some friends and I were chatting, and their tours were being cancelled, and all sorts of things were just being closed all around us. And it was just sort of the mentality of like, the show must go on. Let's just rally together and just put on one weekend of music. And we sort of were toing and froing about the format, and we decided that Instagram was probably the most accessible, and for the artists themselves, but also audiences to be able to access. And then the other kind of motivation for doing Isolaid that first weekend in March was also to raise money for Support Act. And if some listeners aren't aware, Support Act is Australia's only not-for-profit that looks after musicians and music workers. So all of the people who work behind the scenes, whose livelihoods really depend on shows happening, like all the riggers and the lighting people and the techs and the engineers, as well as the musicians, of course. And they have a 24-hour support line. Anyway, they're a vital resource for the music industry in Australia. And so we really wanted to raise awareness and money for them as well. So that's how it kind of came about way back when, 9 months ago in March.
And those 9 months have gone so fast, and so many of us still believe that we're back in March because life kind of stopped for our industry, didn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's exactly right.
What kind of challenges did you experience when you first started with this festival? Because you'd never done anything like this before, right?
No, nothing like this. None of us had. And so it was very much like a steep learning curve, lots of troubleshooting as we were going, and also kind of keeping up with the technology as it was developing, because way back then in March, you couldn't actually watch Instagram live videos on desktops or laptops. And so you really had to be on your phone. It was quite tricky to explain to people how to access the festival, and lots of people confused and giving up and finding that really tricky. So lots of challenges, lots of explaining people the premise of the festival, but that feels like so long ago, and also it feels like yesterday. It's this weird kind of melting of time into
It is. It's been this weird year. But you recently spoke at Big Sound, and you were talking about how the face of Australian music has actually changed. So I'd love to hear from you, given that you've done this festival, you've had this incredible experience going through all of the challenges. What do you think's ahead for us? What's the future of our industry facing? We still have significant challenge ahead. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So that panel was called Facing the Change, and we're discussing exactly that, what the future is going to look like. And I think it's quite interesting because as Victoria has been in such a different situation to the rest of the country, and so while we were in this strict lockdown and not able to leave our houses for longer than an hour and not leave our 5-kilometre radius, the other parts of the country have been living in somewhat relative freedom and without this constant fear and unknown of what next. And so in some ways I feel like we do have a bit of a template. We sort of know that for at least the next little while, shows will be smaller capacity, they will be physically distant. For the most part they'll be seated and adhering to all of the the cleanliness and hygiene and sanitizing and all of that. The restrictions at the moment are that musicians obviously have to be physically distanced themselves. They all have to be masked apart from the singer. So I think we do know sort of what we're kind of in for in the short term. And then I guess depending on, the success of us curbing this virus and adhering to all of these restrictions that enable us to live freely and unmasked and it kind of depends. So we're and I'm programming the festival for next March, for Brunswick Music Festival for next year, and it's this confusing time of kind of programming something that could just as easily not go ahead or not go ahead in the same way that I'm hoping it might. And there's a lot of unknown, but I think the future will be strong. I do think like there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of just trust and just hope, and everybody's rallying around the venues really strongly and the musicians and not only that, but also like the rehearsal studios that are slowly opening up again. And because so many different facets of the industry are affected when the live music sector goes down. And the recording studios. Anyway, so things are slowly opening up, and I think it'll take a little while for full confidence to resume, but it will.
It will, and you're right. And the thing is that whatever challenges you have, they do make you stronger, don't they? And we as an industry, we've never had it easy. We kind of have to create our own way anyway. So we're probably best positioned to level up and leverage this experience we've had. So which leads me to my next thing. When I look at Europe and the UK, they're in their second lockdown, right? That might last until March. So I would be horrified if that happened to us next April, right? So what do you think we need to do, I guess, almost to, fingers crossed, prepare for something as well? Do you think that the Isol-Aid Festival is a great little blueprint perhaps for all of us to follow in preparation?
I mean, I guess there's quite a bit in that question to unpack. And I guess, there's a bit of lockdown fatigue in Victoria, especially. So there is that, but there's also kind of the very recent reminder of how devastating and awful and hard that lockdown was. So I do think that there is this, reticence to completely let our guards down. And, I think people are cautious, and I think that will continue for a little while. And I think, just being kind of relaxed, but also, simultaneously vigilant. I think that's the only answer. I think taking these measured steps to make sure that we're really in a strong and secure position to be opening up to more audiences. And the other thing I think is like obviously the outdoor situation, the outdoor gigs and festivals and things will put us in good stead to be able to have bigger shows and things like that. But, heading into summer in Australia, that means that we'll, have that opportunity to...
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. So, but, as the virus it's unpredictable, it's unknown. And so it's really, I think like all of the measures of what's it called? Like the tracing. Yeah, the contact tracing and all of those things will also mean that hopefully if little pockets of the virus do pop up, that we'll be able to kind of ring circle or whatever they're calling them, like just kind of put those little spot fires out as they arise.
Yeah, it would be.
But also going back to the question about the future of music, I do think that that government support is going to be really important. I think that musicians and the music community are always at the forefront of bailing out and raising money for other issues and other, terrible emergencies and things that arise. So I do think that, it's our turn now where we've done it really tough and we've suffered this whole time, and so many musicians out of work and all of the different facets of the industry, from the promoters, the agents, the booking agents, managers, labels, on and on and on. Every single part of the industry has done it so tough. So I just think that all of these bailout packages and things, like I know gambling's often the first one that, and sporting, events get all of this money and attention, but hopefully, we'll be on that list too.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that out. I've had a chat with Senator Sarah Hanson-Young yesterday, and she blew my mind because she said the government has no understanding of our industry, and they'll support, Murdoch's media empire, they'll support sporting, but they don't really get the whole infrastructure and ecosystem that we're dealing with. And, it's such a good point that you've brought up. When the shit hits the fan, we're the first ones to put our hand up, right? But
yeah, exactly.
Who's actually there to put their hand up to help us right now? So in terms of that, what are your thoughts on what you think the government needs to do to perhaps step up and say, hey, you guys have really, it's been super challenging for you. What do you think they need to do for us?
It's really tough because, a lot of people have fallen through the cracks as far as job seeker and job keeper have gone. But at the same time, there have been amazing bailout packages and funding for like venues, but again, not everybody has been successful. So I think it's just going to be a matter of just persisting to lobby the government to keep the money coming, keeping the grants and all of these opportunities that will look after our industry for the long term, because we actually inject more money into the economy than the sporting, any other industry like that. So we're so vital in the Australian ecosystem, particularly the economy. So it would be kind of self-defeating in a way not to pay mind to that and to look after us. So that's what I'm hoping. I don't know. I just sort of feel like there has to be a long-term approach, not just kind of throwing money at the situation early, because it'll take a while. It's going to take a long while for us to recover.
Oh, 100%. I really agree with you. But you are a force to be reckoned with, coming up with Isol-Aid the way that you did. I think what it's done, and it's a good thing, young musicians looking at the future are probably feeling a little bit, unsure about what's facing them. But you've kind of said to them, you can bloody well do anything. You've sort of given this example of, look, if it doesn't work this way, we go over here. You've shown them how to pivot, how to diversify. So I really want to acknowledge you with that. And obviously,
thank you.
All the achievements that you're getting, it's, everyone else is saying the same thing. Look at what this chick has done. It's incredible. So thank you so much, because we have to keep each other buoyant at a time like this, Emily. We have to be able to go, look, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's important for us to focus on, because we don't know what's coming. So people like you are actually dragging us all with you. So thank you.
That's so nice. Thank you.
But it's true. Yeah. And it's really important that people acknowledge that. So I want to say thank you to you for talking to me and sharing your story, because people watching this today might sort of maybe not give up. They might actually go, you know what? I can do this. Emily can do it. Everyone else can do it. I can do this as well. So everyone else out there are questioning whether music is right for you. There's so much going on. There's so many amazing people like Emily out there. The future is going to be what you make it. So Emily, thank you for talking to me today. I'm so thrilled to hear your story, to meet you, and good luck with everything. I want to sort of just watch what you're doing with Brunswick Music Festival, and I have everything crossed.
Yes, me too.
Fine next March. Take care. And
thank you.
With you in a few more months.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bye.